Today on the Homeboys podcast,
broke people tend to be not real thrilled with people that have money until they have money, and then it's suddenly okay. So I kind of feel more sorry for them than angry.
We are talking about real estate with Mark McMahon.
People are all like, oh my God, it's all new. It's nothing new.
We're going to cover a lot of topics, and we're going to cover why he's catching fire out there in the social media world.
We need to have a money generator on one side, and then we've got the thing that keeps us from paying taxes on that generator, right? Which is holding real estate.
He's spreading some really good advice. So
stay tuned. You're kicking it with the Homeboys. Hey everybody, you're kicking it with the Homeboys and the Homeboys podcast. We're excited to have you. We got a very exciting show. We are talking real estate investing, of course, but we've got Mark McMahon of Ask Mark About Real Estate Investing. We're very excited and honored to have him on the show. He's got a lot of great content out there, and we found out he's very like-minded to the Homeboys. As always, I'm here with my buddy, Scott Adams. How are you, Scott?
Good. I'm really pumped. He's our guest today is blowing up big time all over the place. TikTok, Instagram, and he's pretty impressive. I think I'm the one who first found him out of our group of people, and we were just talking before the show. I said after 15 videos, I hadn't yet found something I disagreed with him yet. So I thought,
ding, 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 bring him on, bring him on.
Let's get this guy on here.
Oh, this could get fun.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about raising private money in particular and finding deals with you. But first of all, how you doing?
Doing very well. Life is good, man. It's funny. We talk about designing our lives or living a life by design. And the crazy thing is I've been able to do it. And it took a long time to get there because I didn't have a lot of direction, but I'm working the hours I want to work. I'm visiting the places I want to visit and doing the things I want to do. So
how'd you get there? Tell us the backstory.
A lot of work, a lot of heartache, a lot of blood, a lot of money loss. Everything that you guys went through, same thing. It's the same thing. I put in the time, I put in the licks, put in the reps. And I think that's what's missing today, especially with a lot of the younger people out there. We're in this instant gratification society right now that scares the crap out of me. I'm careful with my language here. It really
you're going to have to do a lot worse than that to offend us, Mark. That's
good. That's
good. You're in good company. That's right.
Get colorful.
That's right.
But the thing is this is a minimum of a 10-year plan. This real estate game that we play here, it's a minimum of 10 years.
Minimum.
And anybody that does it in 2 or 3 years, God bless them. But more than likely, they're going to get in trouble because they overextended, they overpaid, they over because they're trying to keep up with everybody else. Don't get me going, but this door count thing that everybody does, how many doors do you have? It's like, doesn't matter. What matters is my cash flow and, what I do with that money. And so I just think everybody needs to take a deep breath, pull back, realize it's going to take some time, and then just go do it. Do the work. And
it feels like I'm literally talking to Clint here. It's like I feel like you're looking in a mirror.
It's like unbelievable. That's my whole thing is, I say it on the show all the time. It's amazing what 10 years of good real estate decisions will do for a person. And in today's climate, it's like it's more leverage, debt. We talk about one guru on here, and I won't mention any names, but very popular. But he talks about it's not about the cash flow; it's about the number of doors you have, and it just blows my mind.
That is twisted.
And I'm with you. I think that these especially the younger generation, hearing some of this advice, they're going to get themselves into pretty massive trouble. I'm sure you lived through the Great Recession just like Scotty and I did, and
barely.
Barely. And
right.
A lot of the younger generation, they only know this elevator ride that has gone up. It's very scary.
That is the best thing I've heard. I mean, I've heard it before, but that's the best thing I've heard today. And I think more people need to realize that, Clint, is that even older folks our age, I mean, I'm not saying you're as old as me, but older folks that haven't been through that yet need to go through it. It's a rite of passage. You have to go through the shit storms.
Right.
Of course, that's where the wealth is really, really, really created.
It's true. It's where you learn the most, and it's where you create your wealth. So they're not something to be totally feared. They'll knock your teeth in, but you're going to learn a lot, and you can build wealth through those time periods. So I think you're speaking the truth.
And the funny thing is that you can actually weather those storms if you play the game right up to it. You can weather those storms. Like, I'm going to probably, I don't know, lose $200,000 or $300,000 on a couple of projects we've got to finish right now. But guess what? That's not going to affect me.
Right.
I can literally write a check and be done with it. It's going to sting. I'm not that rich, but it's part of the game. It's a small fraction of what I made leading up to it. But seeing what was going on, I was able to also throttle back, right? I'm sure you guys did the same thing. It's like, okay, I can see stuff starting to happen here. It's not really making sense when, cartoon pictures of gorillas are selling for $1 million. Something's not right? And companies that have no profit margin are selling at, 10, 15 times value. It doesn't make sense. And those are the warning signs we all look for as investors that have been around for a while.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
I welcome it. It's exciting. Sad, but exciting.
Be prepared. Don't be over leveraged with what's coming ahead. Anyone listening, just be careful with your leverage, because it'll take you down. If you're not over leveraged, you can see yourself through these storms so easily, and you might have to tighten your belt a bit, but
I totally agree, Scott. I mean, do you guys have a theory on leverage? Because I'm not a leverage guy. I've never borrowed money against my properties. I do interest only loans, but because I hold my properties for so long, it doesn't really matter. They eventually appreciate enough to where it doesn't. My equity position right now is so good that it doesn't matter. But I've never borrowed money against my properties, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But most people, they burr and they pull out as much money as they can to where they're barely cash flowing.
We don't have an exact theory. We a lot of our clients that we have turnkey will be at minimum 20% down at minimum, and we don't really advise keeping it at 80%. For example, if you see an appreciation rise in property, then going back to the well and pulling more money out and doing that. Scotty and I, with our portfolio, we keep everything, really 60%, LTV.
And we never
LTV
cash them back out. So we do accelerated pay downs, like a Rockport building. Mm-hmm. So we'll build, this is about a $3.5 million mixed use building with a restaurant and some other stuff. So we were at about 65 or 70 at the time we finished the building, and then we've done accelerated pay down of that debt after. And I know we could have gotten cheap 3% money against the building and used it to do more and more and more, but we're at a different point in our careers though too, where how much is enough? And that's what scares me, the greed.
Another great question.
I'd rather have a conservative amount of debt, and I'm living the life of my dreams, so I'm not interested in risking that or borrowing more. So it's easy for us to say, we're not big on leverage, but we also don't preach it for our clients. I mean, at 75%, you should be good, for recessions and pullback periods. But beyond that, I just would never suggest borrowing more.
And we're in a little bit different market where, we don't see a lot of the peaks and valleys that some of the West Coast, markets.
What market are you guys?
We're in Indianapolis.
Okay, great market.
And it's even like during the Great Recession, where places like New York City, Los Angeles, those were getting beat up 20, 25, 30 plus percent. We got beat up 5 to 10, but we were even at that time, we were preaching not to get out and fire sale your properties to see.
So in our market,
through
losing 25% of value is just not realistic unless it's a total depression versus a recession. So people should be safe in our market at that. At the same time, we're a static market, so you're not going to get big raises. You're not going to get big drops. Our clients are all cash flow buyers that just want something boring and good cash flow.
Well, that's a good point too. Because I think a lot of people start off doing the appreciation play and, leveraging that money so that they can buy more and more and more. And then I think we get to a certain point where we realize that cash flow is the be all end all of this business. But we've got to go through that, it seems like, as a younger person. We've got to go through the cowboy period where we're leveraging and we're pulling money out and we're grabbing money from here and there and we're living on the edge just to get established. And I don't think that people really need to go through that. I think I made a lot of mistakes when I was starting out because I didn't really have a knowledge base. We took this wholesaling course my wife and I did like 14 years ago. And before many people knew what wholesaling was, and that was the basis of our knowledge, and that really didn't teach us about investing. So we made a lot of silly mistakes, a lot of expensive mistakes. But with the lack of the massive amount of information out there right now, there's really no excuse to make those kinds of mistakes. I think the thing is you got to pick who you listen to. And that's why I think it's so important to find one or two people that you resonate with and just kind of go in on that. Otherwise, I think it's really hard to make a decision on how to move forward.
Well, let me tout you real quick because we agree with everything you just said, and we agree that people should be focused on a certain type of investor that's experienced and conservative, but yet is still has good advice. And those people don't always get the spotlight on them because they're less flashy and there's less sexiness to their message. You are one of those people. If you're listening and you're one of our clients and you want to get good advice from somebody who's conservative and has been through this before, we truly do believe that you should follow him. He's got some great advice and he's got some great life stories. So if I could just tout you real quick, that I think you are one of those people with the message you're talking about.
Amen. I think you guys bring up a good point to segue into. We're relatively new into this social media game. Scotty and I, we joke on the show a lot. We're old fuddy-duddies. It took us by massive surprise over the last year to see all the information that is being put out there on social media that I think a lot of people think is sexy, but it's really dangerous, advice.
Oh, yeah.
So, you've had success on social media. I mean, does it frustrate you like it frustrates Scotty and I looking at, some of the insanity, or should we just pull up our big boy pants?
You know what?
Keep going.
It's nothing new. The same stuff has been going on for a long time, but when I first started, it was on DVDs, and before that, it was on VHS, and then before that, it was late night TV. And, Come See Me in Hawaii, Dave Delgado, and all these other guys out there, touting their wares, snake oil salesmen, basically. So it's always been around. And, it's funny, I used to repo houses for the bank. So during the recession, we pretty much lost everything. I'm a contractor by trade. And so I started working for the banks, repoing houses. So I'd clean these houses out, and I'd find an amazing amount of mail order get-rich-quick schemes in the houses. It was astounding how many we would find. And I'm talking about here in Orange County where people have, boatloads of money, or they seem to. So this stuff's been going on for a long time. The problem now is there's so many differing views. Back then it was, you either learned from Uncle Mo, who owned a few apartment complexes, or you listened to these late night TV guys. There was really not a lot of in between.
Right.
Now there's a lot of choices, and yet it frustrates me. But at the same time, people are going to make choices. If you want the Lamborghini crowd, we call it the Lamborghini crowd here. You guys probably have a similar, name for it. We're not that. I like Lamborghinis. I'm not saying I don't like them.
Sure.
Wouldn't mind having one. It's just not important to me.
Yeah. Clint's friends would beat him up if he pulled up in a Lamborghini. He's from a small town in Indiana. They'd literally punch him in his face.
Then you better do what I do and get that F-150.
That's right.
That's right.
You're speaking his language.
Do you ever, we'll find ourselves going back and looking at some of the comments that are out there, and it seems like there's this whole wave with the younger generation that just there's a hatred for people that want to better themselves and that have success. We see it a lot because, we're landlords, by trade. And there's a hatred out there. We've seen it where people are calling for us to die because we're landlords. And it just amazes me. Our message is always about trying to help other people take their next steps, and it seems like yours is as well.
And it's not just to help people with their next steps. We're not talking to the ultra wealthy. We're not trying to help the ultra wealthy get wealthier. Our goal is to help ordinary, regular people find financial freedom through real estate, like we did. We started from literally nothing, less than nothing. I started out with negative money because student loans. Neither of us, and so we're trying to help that common person. So it just feels weird the pushback you get.
I think as you get older, I mean that faction's always been there. There was a time after World War II, and people don't realize, but the Hells Angels were born out of World War II. They're disgruntled veterans that started a motorcycle club, and they were against the man, and so there's always been a faction that's been against. I think what we refer to as snowflakes out there. Now, let's just put it out there, okay? Let's just say it.
Right.
These are kids that are just our new entitled generation. But what I love to see, though, guys, and I see it every day, are the people that grew up exactly at the same time these other people grew up, and they have hopes and dreams and aspirations for not just wealth, but to have the lifestyle that they want. So, I hear those people, and I know as landlords, we get to deal with it. But, there's crap in every business you got to deal with. And
totally good advice.
It's just seriously not something I take seriously.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. And again, too, these are people that are either A, entitled, or B, broke. So broke people tend to be not real thrilled with people that have money until they have money, and then it's suddenly okay. So I kind of feel more sorry for them than anger, to be real honest with you.
Yeah. So what's your biggest push now? Where are you spending your time? What info are you trying to get out there? What are you focused on right now?
As a business, we are strictly doing buy and hold right now. So we've always done what I call the 3 pillars of investing, which I'm sure you guys aren't involved in all 3 of these, but we have been prolific flippers for a long time.
Sure.
We've been done a lot of wholesaling and buy and hold.
Sure.
And then there's the education side of it too, but that's not why people are here. They're here to listen to how we built our real estate business. So right now, because the economy is doing, and I know this is something that's going to come up later, or we can just address the elephant in the room right now. Because of what's going on in the economy and the way we called it, we've switched to a buy and hold strategy right now. We're not flipping houses. We're certainly not able to wholesale. We've got a wholesale arm, and our poor guys, I don't think they've pushed more than 2 or 3 deals in the last 3 months, just strictly because there's not enough buyers out there.
You're kind of the canary in the coal mine too for folks like us. We're 5 years behind Orange County and everything, whether it's clothing styles, haircuts, or real estate. It's everything hits us 5 years after it hits you guys. So in a way, you are a sneak peek for folks who are our clients, in a way to keep your eye on what's ahead and what's coming.
Well, I mean, I don't know when this is going to hit, but when this is going to get posted or whatever you call it. But right now we're looking at like a 25% drop in luxury home sales. The first chink in the armor, and this is the 28th of September, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And, yesterday, the first report came out of the first real price drop in the market since 2011. And that was less than 1%, but I don't care. It's this insanity, this trajectory we've been on for the last, the last 13 years, but really the last 2 or 3 years needed to stop. It has been absolute insanity. My house went from $900,000 to $1.7 million in 3 years. And it's like, that doesn't make any damn sense.
It's crazy.
And it's not. It's just a normal ranch style house.
We talk about it on here quite a bit. We've seen a big jump in housing prices here. And you talk about the drop in luxury, and I kind of wanted to chime in and hear your opinion on that because, here we have $1 million homes, and we've seen a lot more hit the market. That's commonplace, where you're at. And you look at the difference in payment, because we live in a very payment-driven society. The difference in 5%, an interest rate on $1 million is $50,000 a year in interest. So if you're talking a payment, you're talking over $4,000 a month. And how many people can shoulder that burden?
I think the real question is how much longer. We hit 7% rates today. Yesterday. I mean, it literally hit 7%.
Right.
It's been since, buckboards and horses. Not really, probably like the 80s. I think it was the 80s when it was this high.
Right.
And, but just think about it, though. I mean, the first house I bought was 14%. So it's all relative. The thing is the interest rates are going right, and prices are stabilizing right now, and pretty soon they'll come down. So that interest rate will become more affordable as housing prices drop. And that's just the natural attrition of things. That's the way it's always happened. And people are all like, oh my God, it's all new. It's nothing new. It's a little bit different. The delivery is different, right? We had COVID and all that other fun stuff. Yeah. But it's just a different time.
We're lucky in our market because the first time home buyer product here is still about $150,000 for a good family home for $150,000.
No, that's the down payment, right?
Yeah, $150,000 for a nice home. I mean, freshly built, nice home. It's crazy. So when the market does what it's about to do, we see it dropping all over the place, including in our market in the luxury price point above $400,000. But we think we're going to stay flat and maybe even continue to appreciate in that small market, because all the people that can no longer afford $400,000 plus houses here are going to buy those houses, which there's already not enough of. So in a way, we're lucky in our market because we have this weird little niche where investors can still keep buying these cash flowing assets and then refi later when the interest rates come down.
It's
what are you focused on? Because we have that little niche we can focus on. Like, what do you do?
I can't focus on that. If I'm going to be buying houses, we don't invest in Hawaii anymore for many reasons, but we don't need to go on that right now. We used to invest there, but to stay investing in California. The price point for you guys, I can't do that even if I go further out into the desert and, the areas around here that are historically really, really low. And you said $150,000. That's literally the 20% down payment for the average house in Orange County.
Yeah,
even in areas that aren't that great. We're talking about, first-time home buyers buying $700,000 to $800,000 houses here. But $1 million is becoming the norm in this area. It's insane. Yeah. So what do I see happening in areas like yours? Not being an expert on it, but from armchair quarterbacking, looking from afar. I have seen a lot of people go into those areas and invest. I've seen a lot of people buy houses and move into those areas because they can telecommute. But I think that aspect is going to be ending as companies start laying people off. They're also going to ask them to come back to the office.
For sure.
Right.
And I think that's going to free up a lot of inventory and maybe even depress markets like yours a little bit, just because there's going to be more inventory, and of course, more inventory generally means lower prices. As far as like where you guys are at, I don't see, a 10% swing in your area means nothing, right?
Correct.
It doesn't mean anything. In my area, a 10% swing is almost $100,000. So that's, 66% of the price of a house in your area. So we're in a different, it's different, but I think everybody will be affected. I really, truly do. I think we're setting ourselves up. Yeah, it's funny. Someone sent me something yesterday, and Disney stock is down 50% from a year ago right now. And isn't it funny that I didn't know that, and I'm kind of in tune to the financial world? There's a lot of things not being talked about in the job market, and I'm not gloom and doom. I'm opportunity guy.
Disney's down 50%.
Oh
my gosh!
Isn't that crazy?
I guess I didn't know that.
He goes to Disney what, 4 times a year probably?
No, twice.
Twice a year.
But I'm old for having young kids. I've got 3 and 6-year-old girls at home, so we're in that prime Disney. And it just seems crazy. We've got a trip here in 3 weeks that these hotels for a week are $10,000, for a Disney resort. And it's not like you're in a great room or anything. It's a very, average room, and they're all booked.
It's because
it's amazing.
It's because everybody's still on that honeymoon right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's still on the honeymoon.
Oh, they're out spending this. They think this elevator is just going to keep going because they haven't seen anything different.
Yeah, they're not putting away money. My wife is from Japan, and we've just able to go back to Japan and visit. We try to go there once or twice a year. Haven't been able to go for 3 years. We just booked a trip 2 days ago because they finally opened the borders back up. And airfare wasn't too bad, but we're booking a ski trip in Nagano, which is like where they have the Olympics.
Right.
And we're looking at the prices, and we're getting a room for her parents, and we're getting a room for us and our oldest son. And ski lift, tickets and everything. And skiing for 2 days for each of us is $100 each at this world-class ski resort. And it's $120 a day each for the hotel room because it includes like a 6-7 course breakfast and dinner every day. The prices over there are insanity, but they're super, super depressed. They've been in where we're kind of going here. And so things are going to change.
I just read a report that hotels had a price drop. I think it was 20% by this company that tracks it, 20% month over month this month, 20% lower price drop. Asking price was what the chart showed. Asking price.
Well, you wouldn't know in the places I'm going. I'm telling you.
I know.
Disney, and I've got a guys trip I do every year, so we were looking at some rooms in Vegas. Vegas is insanity now too.
It's going to hit. It's going to hit eventually.
No, Vegas, there's nothing cheap in Vegas anymore. The cheap meals, no.
No, there's nothing. If you're getting comped, you're dropping some more money than I'm willing to spend out in Las Vegas.
Me too.
Well, it sounds like we agree.
It's just go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you, all you, my friend.
No, I just think it's a prelude to what may be coming. And look, there's different kinds of things that can happen to keep all this from happening. There's government intervention. There's the end of the war. There's a lot of things that could change things, but the dynamics of what's going on in our economy right now are not sustainable. I think everybody agrees with that. There may be a lot of people out there that don't want things to slow down. A lot of people don't, but the fact is it has to. I mean, it just has to.
Right.
So it's going to happen now, or it's going to happen next year, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, it was everything was growing at an unsustainable rate. Okay, so it's literally unsustainable. The Americans couldn't afford a home if you projected out the way we had appreciated for the last 10 years. In another 10 years, if it had kept going, no one could afford a home, not even the richest people. So it had to come to a stop. And I hate the fact that the way things work in our economy and most is that it only stops one way and falls off a cliff, and then it flattens out. You got to have some pain before you get to what it should really be. But there's going to be opportunities through all of this, like you said. You know, if we all stay focused, if you're a real estate investor and you stay focused and you are not going into this over leveraged, boy, you can have some great years ahead. This is not something that you have to be fretting. Can be something you can look forward to.
I think that's a good segue, because we agree on where the real estate market is and interest rates and all of that. I've watched a lot of your content, and a big part of your message is people getting started into real estate investing. Can you kind of share with us kind of some of your views? We know that you're big into raising money and finding deals. What's your advice to people that are wanting to get started? Say I have nothing, I haven't been in real estate at all. Where do I go?
Yeah. So, number one, I think a lot of people find someone and grab onto them, like we talked earlier, and start making mistakes right off the bat. And I think finding someone you resonate with, that you trust, and I understand that's hard to do, but we pick and we choose, and you just got to pick well and get educated. And I'm not saying, look, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get started. I mean, if you want to come to me, I'll charge you a lot of money to teach you. That's a given.
Right.
But you look at my YouTube, my Instagram, the free shows I do every week. I mean, everything I do is most everything I do. You can learn everything I know basically by spending a couple of weeks going over my material, and then you don't have to pay for anything. But it's not tied up in a bow, right? So for those people that want to really learn it and be able to apply it quickly, then we've got the other method. But the first thing is learn. I hear too many people say, just get started, just buy that first property. And it's really not that way. It shouldn't be that way. I mean, you have to eventually pull the trigger. I'm not saying wait 3 years or 4 years. You can do it in 3 months. You can do it in a month. But make sure you know what you're doing from somebody that's made mistakes, like you guys. I mean, you guys have been bloodied, right? Black eyes, broken noses.
Big time.
So,
it's not about how hard we can punch. It's about how hard we can get punched and keep moving forward.
Yeah. And we still get, all the three of us still get punched on a daily basis, right?
Daily.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And it never ceases to amaze me when I'm having the best day and I get a phone call. It's like, well, damn. But as I get further into the game, it doesn't bother me as much, I have to admit. I know I have a saying, 95% of our problems solve themselves. I mean, you can't ignore them, but they solve themselves. The other 5% aren't solvable. You're going to have an issue, but we don't know which ones we're going to have an issue with. So why stress out so much about everything that happens? Just find out what's going to be a big deal and then deal with that.
Scotty and I used to be big on the speaking circuit. And, we used to see people all the time. You say, don't take 3-4 months to get started. We used to go year in, year out to some of these same speaking engagements.
In Orange County, we spoke out there a lot where you are.
Oh, funny. Okay.
And you see the same people showing up year after year and not doing anything. Just
same people for
sitting
years
on the sidelines. It's like, man, this poor bastard, just get up and do something, man.
Well, it's funny. When we first got started, we went to an investment club because we had no idea about anything.
Sure.
And we saw these people there, and we were just so in awe of how much they knew. And then a couple of years later, after we really got rolling and we were doing a lot, we'd go back and same people would be there, still don't own anything. They just want to be part of the club.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I can liken it to a lot of things that would offend a lot of people, so I'm not going to do that. But a lot of people just want to be in the club. Yeah. They really do. They don't give a damn about actually doing it. They just want to be involved with the people that are. And that's cool.
Yeah.
It's pointless, but it's cool.
It's mind-blowing to me. I mean, I value my time, so I don't know.
Yeah, as do I, but most of these folks have a job, and this is a social thing.
Yeah, so, that's true.
If it's not going to benefit me, I'd much rather be on my back porch with a bush light hanging out, than wasting my time.
I'm with you.
But
so,
hey,
Some people like to
want
smoke
to get
crack.
started.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, we're drinking. What was
Yeah.
that?
No, he was getting ready to say, "Oh, some people smoke crack. I don't." You
Yeah.
know?
Everyone has their own hobbies.
Everyone has their thing.
I'm trying to give it up. It's been tough. But yeah, for people that want to get started, obviously learn a little bit first. Don't just jump in and lose all of your money, because what happens is you lose all your money and you lick your wounds, and 3 years later you get through that financial problem, and then you're one of the naysayers, like real estate is stupid, it doesn't work. And and they live the rest of their lives doing that same thing, renting a house, and and on it goes. And they work their job, they retire, and then they die. Right?
Yeah.
Real estate investors don't tend to quit their job and die, right? They tend to quit their job and then do real estate full time until they die. And we live a lot longer than most people because we're happy generally, right? We get to do the things we want to do. And that's what's so exciting about this crazy business we're in, is like, you're going to Disneyland and you're going to Vegas and you're doing 10-day backpacking trips. Normal jobs don't allow that. I'm sorry, they just don't.
Yeah,
I think that's something that speaks to the younger generation wholeheartedly. It's something I see on social media. People, use the word freedom a lot differently than what they're talking about. Don't do regular retirement planning because that only offers you 15 years of freedom at the end.
Yeah.
It's all about being free right now, which I think is a little bit dangerous, a little bit. But I mean, we do.
Yeah.
Real estate can offer you that luxury of up and going and doing your own thing and not being tied to a desk, which is very attractive to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times people look at real estate as the be all end all, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and be controversial. My real true belief is that we need to have a money generator on one side, right? Whether it's a business, like for us, it's for all these years, it's been house flipping and wholesaling and, educating. And then we've got the thing that keeps us from paying taxes on that generator, right? Which is holding real estate. We make decent cash flow on our real estate. We could live on it if we wanted to, but it's not going to be the lifestyle that we are used to. So we'll continue to buy more real estate. But for most people, it's such a smarter move to have the cash generator and the real estate. Not very many people are going to be able to survive on their real estate for quite a few years. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And the people that are trying to get into it, like on that 10-year plan that we all three agreed on, the people that are trying to get into that have to keep that generator there and build that. And, you build this and you build this. And it just seems to be the smartest way to do it.
For sure.
It's great advice.
Great advice. We couldn't agree more. So for the common person that wants to be in real estate, who has a job, an income generating job that creates good income, we see this as just another investment avenue, no different than stocks or anything else. We happen to think real estate's better than most of the other options that someone has.
Agreed.
But that's all it is. This is not an escape your life super early, get rich overnight. It's a long-term investment that takes time, takes your attention. Luckily, there's a lot of companies all over the country like ours that help people and folks like you that can make it a lot easier. They can make it a lot easier for you. But it's still simply an investment that doesn't change your life overnight. And in fact, it really doesn't change your life totally, no matter how long. It's just another investment path. However, real estate is really unique in the fact that you can make a living out of it if you wanted. I'm not saying that that's what most people should do, because they shouldn't. They should keep their job, buy cash flowing assets to help them.
Thank you. By the way, let me interrupt. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. No one says that shit. It's like, yeah, you could be retired in 3 months.
No.
You'll have 100 doors making $5 each.
Stop.
It's like
It's
stupid.
insane.
It's insane.
Totally
That is not the best use. Real estate is a tool. It's in a tool bag of other things. And real estate is at its best for people who are high earners to buy, to lead themselves to earlier financial freedom, earlier. Not the only way to get to financial freedom, but earlier. And it also helps them with so many different things. Tax-wise, it's a great It's a huge benefit for earners.
Oh, that's yes.
But real estate can be anything someone wants. If you hate your career and you want to eventually get into it, you can get into it in a lot of different ways. There's so many options. Like you said, you have these courses on how to find deals. You have these courses on how to find funding for deals. So you teach people who want to get out of their day-to-day, there are still options for them. But for 99%, maybe not 99, but 95% of people who are listening that want to be in real estate, you should look at it as a tool to invest in while you keep your job.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's dive in.
Okay.
I could literally sit here and talk to Mark all afternoon, but we generally like to close with 3 different questions, and it still takes a little bit of time. But first question, Mark, what is the best real estate decision you ever made?
I would say it wasn't. I would love to say it was a decision. It was being forced to hold my first property, and a deal just went wonky. This was just coming out of the recession, 2011 or 12. We bought a property, we rehabbed it, and we were going to sell it, but we bought it through somebody. There was a way that he could get houses back then, but we had to buy it through him, and we did several deals with him. And this goes back to trusting people, and you've got to be careful with that, because every time we've written large checks, it's been because we aligned ourselves with the wrong people, and that was a tough learning lesson. But we ended up putting this house up for sale. It had to be in his name. We put in the money. We did the rehab. We did everything. And apparently he wasn't paying payroll taxes, and the IRS liened the property. We were in escrow. The house was sold. It was in escrow, and we were going to get our money out, and that was going to be, the money that we lived on, right? That was our job back. Flipping is a job. I don't think anybody will deny that.
Sure.
And that was our job. But we didn't we weren't even thinking about holding properties back. That's so funny back then. We weren't even thinking about holding them. We just wanted to flip.
He didn't either. He got into it because of the 2008 crash, and he couldn't sell all his flips.
My for sale signs got traded out for rent signs, then became a property manager.
So we get
overnight.
it. We get it.
Yeah. So we kept it as a rental while we unwound the red tape with IRS. It took a year to do that. I finally got it all unwound, and we got title to the house, and everything was well and good. We realized we were making a lot of money on the rent. This house was in Compton, California, and it was there's good, decent areas of Compton, but this was not one of them. And that's Compton. Why we want to keep it.
Yeah. City of Compton. It's a rap song back in the 90s.
Oh, he knows it.
I'm not that old. I wouldn't know about that shit. But anyway, so we got stuck with it. It turned out to be the best thing we ever did. And it turned into, through 1031 exchanges, it turned into a really nice 12-unit apartment complex in Sacramento, California that now throws off about $8,000 a month in true cash flow. I'm talking cash flow after using my 40% rule and debt service.
Yeah.
So my 40% rule says that 40% of the rent goes towards expenses, plus whatever your debt service is. So that's another reality smack in the face most people don't get to hear.
I've actually seen that video. I've seen your 40% rule on YouTube. So to all of our listeners out there,
check that out.
Check out the 40%.
It's good. It's good advice. It's a good rule.
Think about that. 11 years of investing, I've now got $100,000 a year in income from that one investment that I put zero of my money in. I didn't put one penny of my money into it, nor have I since then. Any of the deals that we've done to get to that 12 unit. That's just one property, but nothing, I've never put a penny into it. No down payments, no repairs, nothing.
It's awesome. That's the power of real estate. So the next question is then, what's the worst real estate decision you ever made?
Well, this is one that everybody answers. A lot of us answer the same way. And it kind of goes along the vein of what I just said. So again, I've made so many stupid mistakes and lost so much money early on. And and I'd like to say one of those was the biggest mistake, but the biggest mistake was not holding on to about 100 of the properties that I sold. Not every property did I want to keep. You know, we've done several hundred properties. We did 300 turnkey homes in Memphis.
We just got done talking about this.